Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Here at Blue Apron, we've been thinking a lot about the whole cooking thing. And we've decided you shouldn't have to cook. Introducing Dish by Blue Apron. Pre-made meals that are ready in 5 minutes or less. At least 20 grams of protein, a good source of fiber, and no artificial flavors or colors. Shop Dish by Blue Apron at blueapron.com. Get 50% off your first 2 orders with code APRON50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
And welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about pop culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm the attorney, Brooke Brigham.
So we are back covering Sister Wives. We are now in season 2. We today are going to be covering episodes 6 and 9. And you're like, wait, where 7 and 8?
What happened?
7, 8, 9. So we actually covered season 2, episodes 7 and 8, way back last year around the holidays. It was a holiday bonus. I think this is when we were naming or numbering our episodes. I don't know. Are we still doing that?
Yeah. It was
okay.
episode 16.
So it was episode 16, we called it a Brown Family Christmas, and we covered 7 and 8 there. That was when the Browns had to announce to their kids. They went up to the cabin. They visited a tree farm. They got a tree. Then they had to take the tree.
They had a laborious trip. Took like all day into the night to get everyone up to this.
I mean, that was
cabin in the snow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was their last. They told the older kids that they were moving.
So the teenagers were livid.
They were
of
not,
course, except for Logan,
having a good time.
Of course, took it in stride.
Yeah, and had to do his parenting duties. So, he didn't have time to
he didn't have time
around.
he didn't have time
feeling
to feel bad
sorry for himself. But it was kind of their last hurrah, They wanted to have a nice Christmas because guess what? When we get home, your world is going to be crushed. So,
but before any of that happens, this is called a polygamist party. So the Browns are throwing a dinner party for their non-polygamous friends. So since they've been out in public, that they now can talk freely with their friends about their faith. But before that, they can have that nice dinner, Meri has an appointment.
Meri needs a colonoscopy.
Well, but first they have to have this appointment. And I have a theory where... And I actually rewound the entire episode because, and I'm going to share this now.
Okay.
Did you notice there were 3 shots of them going to the doctors? Each time, snowing, dark, Lexus, tan jacket. And I'm thinking to myself, did they just tell Kody and Meri, you know what? We don't have a lot of money for this. Just pull in there 3 times.
Right.
And then we're just going to pretend. Because I'm thinking to myself, first they have an appointment. I'm thinking, I thought this was the colonoscopy. Because of course
it's dark in the morning. Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, this is just a regular appointment. Like, what time is this appointment? Like, what time is this doctor starting? This is just a regular, what's going on with you? Hi, nice to meet you appointment. And then she has the... Spoiler alert, she has the colonoscopy. And then there's another one where she has her results and they say Happy New Year. So now we're moving ahead in time, right?
Well, that's
all
a good catch.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I bet you anything, they said to this doctor, we want to film all this. And the doctor's probably like, I don't have time for that. And I can't have a film crew in here when my patients are in here.
Yes, that too.
And
I bet you
so,
anything.
yeah.
Privacy,
so they said,
HIPAA laws.
Exactly. They said, well, we'll do it after hours. Yeah. And they did it all at once, made it look to get more content. And and it was like 6 o'clock at night.
Oh, maybe it was at night.
Yeah.
Because it was wintertime.
Yeah.
So, they had to have done it. I mean, maybe it was 3 separate days because obviously they had to give results, but I do believe they had to do it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes, that was my little detective work.
Yeah.
For this episode.
So, it's very sadly, Meri's sister died at 31.
That is insane.
From colon cancer.
I've heard this story about her sister many times. I think I just assumed that maybe she was in her 40s. 31.
She had 4 kids.
The youngest was 11 months old.
God.
How insane.
Yeah,
is
she
that?
was she was dead within a year of getting
11 months. Oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. Her youngest was 4 years old.
She died
within 11 months.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And this is one of those situations where it does help to have another sister wife.
Yes,
because
it is.
there was someone there to take care of her kids, but that was very, very sad. But that was 6 years ago, and Meri has put it off because she was told, all her siblings were told, because this is very rare.
Yes.
All told to go get a colonoscopy, and they all did it except for Meri.
Yes. So, and you know what happened? And all the siblings had polyps.
Yeah.
And we learned, because I learned a lot about colon cancer in this episode, we learned that apparently, that polyps, not all polyps lead to cancer, but that polyps, that if you leave polyps there, it will lead to cancer.
Eventually.
That you have to get the polyps out.
Right.
If you have polyps there, you've got to get them out and see if they're cancerous. And if you don't get them out, it could lead to cancer. So just leaving them there, you're basically gambling, which is what Meri has been doing these last 6 years.
Right. But I also had another thought. You know how the Browns basically lived in poverty before they got this show? I bet you she didn't have medical insurance. Because there's lots of tales of, them getting stuck with these big medical bills for children.
Yeah.
When, because they have no medical insurance. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it, but I'm sure she was also probably scared. Yeah. But I'm just here to say, public service announcement. I've had a colonoscopy. It's not bad. It's fine. Yeah. Get a colonoscopy, because I had polyps. I had like 9 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And, there's no colon cancer in our family that I'm aware of. So just go and do it.
I heard they give you really. I'm probably going to have to get one done soon. I heard they give you really good drugs.
The drugs are amazing.
What do you get? Fentanyl?
I don't know if it's fentanyl or propofol.
Oh yeah, is it that Michael Jackson?
It
put
is
you out?
The best sleep.
That is good stuff.
It is so. It's you. You don't know anything's happening to you. You're completely out of it. You don't feel anything. You wake up. You feel just wonderful. And then you go home and you take like a really long nap. And then when you get up, you can, go to McDonald's or whatever, because you'll be hungry.
Yes.
Because you basically can't eat for an entire day before. So do it. It's great. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah, so of course, we get a lot of lectures from Robyn in this episode. A lot of them, which I'm really sick of.
I'm starting to notice that more and more and rewatching this. She just lectures everybody constantly.
And I think, is it in this episode or the other one we watched, where there's a few moments where I think it was this one, which I think are really interesting with Robyn that I'll talk about. But Robyn says it's an unspoken rule that other wives would raise the kids if they lost a sister wife. So, okay. But again, I also want to say that, it's also in families, if a sibling, people step in and take care of parents, take care of, it's like, this works in other families too,
Yeah. Well, and also she said, when she was talking about that, she said that her situation is different because her kids have a different biological father. And then Christine, the one who was never nice to Robyn, jumps in and she says, that's awful. I would fight for them. So I wonder if this has something to do with why Kody wanted to adopt them and terminate the other father's parental rights.
What do you mean? This cancer scare?
No, this concept that if something happened to Robyn, legally, the kids might have to go back to their father.
Yeah, wasn't that always the reason?
No. The reason they gave was that it had to be done in order to adopt them, which is true. I don't know. They never really gave, I thought, a really clear answer about why was it so, they're already in this family, living with the family. Why is it necessary to terminate the parental rights of this man who the kids still have a relationship with? They still go and visit him. Like, why is that necessary? I always thought it was kind of shitty that happened. But I think this has something to do with it. They're afraid that, if something happened to Robyn, then they would lose custody. They never had custody. But the custody would go to the father.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, and then what? Then it sounds like they don't have a relationship with the father, so the father would then just take the kids away. I mean, I don't know. People usually, you try to have good relationships with everybody so that everybody can kind of get along, so that if something like Robyn passing away does happen, right, that you can all be in each other's lives and make it work.
Well, Robyn has never had nice things to say about this guy. She said she always says it was a horrible marriage and a horrible divorce and everything was bad. So I don't think she did trust him to do the right thing. And but the kids, literally, like right after that adoption, the kids went to their dad's house in Montana for like a month.
No, there's so much more to this stuff that we don't even know what's going on. It's like hard to it's hard to know.
It'll come out someday.
But Meri says that she's been working with a cancer research organization. I'm like, huh? Okay. And then we meet her gastroenterologist named Dr. Uma Karnan.
Oh, I thought it was Dr. Carmen. Karnam.
Yeah, his first name is Uma.
He was very
nice. Pleasant. And of course, you know what he does? He recommends a colonoscopy. Surprise. And then this is my favorite line of the episode. Meri says, even though I have this colonoscopy scheduled, we still have this dinner party to do. It's like, oh, thank God you're still, gosh, Meri. Wow. Yeah, you're such a hero.
I don't know how you're going to get it all done.
God, a dinner party and a colonoscopy?
All in the same week? Are you crazy?
Whoa. Jeez. And what? At this point, you're not even working? And you have what?
How do you do it?
I don't know how she does it.
I don't either.
Everything she does.
That woman, nobody knows. No one appreciates.
Yes. Dinner party and the best rest of her life.
Right. God, I would kill for a colonoscopy nap right now.
I know.
It's the best nap you will ever have in your entire life.
Oh my God. I had to get this procedure done and they gave me some of those drugs too. And I was like naked on this table. And because I was going to be somewhat awake, they had to like strap my arms down. And I started to feel anxious, because they strap your arms down and you're starting to like cold table, naked, strapped down. But then all of a sudden that like fentanyl started kicked in. And then I was like, oh, I don't fucking care. I don't care if you guys shoot a porno right now.
Just give me a cut.
Yes. It was just like, I don't care. I don't care if this guy next to me whips out. I don't care what you people do to me. Just keep this coming. and I've worked with addicts before, and it's like, no, I know why people get addicted.
Oh, absolutely.
So clearly, and why you do the things that you do with addiction. Please do not shame anyone who does something for an addiction, because it is so fucking good. Because truly, everything goes away. Yeah. You're just like, I don't care.
You don't care about any of your problems
and all
anymore.
of your, but any anxiety that I had, like my I was like up at a 10 and it became a 0. I was just like, I don't care now.
Oh God, that procedure sounds so horrible.
No, but I said to them as they were strapping me in, I said, are the drugs coming soon? And they all laughed. Like, I'm a comedian, and I'm like, I'm really serious. Like, I'm really serious right now.
This is no joke.
And they're like, no, it's coming. And I'm like, but I kind of feel like, give me the drugs first, then strap me, and then I'll be real.
Then you'll be real cooperative.
Is this part of the porn? Is this the strapping porn? Great. So anyway, we got to get back to this riveting dinner party that they threw. So this dinner party was like, they went to them and said, the Browns, what have you got going on? You guys are trying to move, but what else have you got going on? And Meri's like, I got a colonoscopy.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, well, can you throw a dinner party or something?
Well, we didn't talk about the actual colonoscopy.
No. Okay, wait. So
is that out of order? Or
no. So each person, basically, they say, like, each person has invited people.
Oh, this is where they're talking about.
Yeah, okay. about the dinner party. Okay. Each person decides that they're going to invite someone from various parts of their lives for a friendship appreciation dinner. And then we hear this. Have they talked about these stories? Because this is the part that's hard to keep straight, because we've read the book and we've watched the show and all of that, where Christine talks about how her grandpa was put into jail, and Robyn said that she didn't tell people. They didn't like to tell people. They had to keep all of this to themselves. They've had to, they're just fear of being rejected for their lifestyle. And then Kody says, people don't like what they don't understand.
Oh, God. Kody, the poor, he's just so, persecuted. He thinks he's like Jesus or something.
Yes, he is. And this is what I was talking about. Okay. So Meri, Robyn, and Christine, they're all sitting around. I think they're at Robyn's house, and they're planning the party. And Kody's on the phone, and they're talking, and they're chit-chatting, and they're talking. And so he says, okay, great. And he says, okay, I love you. And then Robyn says, I love you back. And then Meri and Christine don't say, I love you back. Mm-hmm. And then they hang up. And Robyn goes to both of them, did you say I love you? To both Christine and Meri. Yeah. And they're both like, oh, I didn't hear him. Okay.
They're not paying attention to Kody.
And they're like, oh, okay. And
she made such a big deal out of that.
She made such a big deal. It's like, why don't you stop policing other people and shaming them for what they're
your
doing?
thing. Just because you like to say it doesn't mean they want to say it. He's saying it to Robyn anyway. He's not saying it to all the other two.
But it's like, but this comes up again later on, but it's like, why do you care what these people are doing or not doing?
She's obsessed with looking like she's just superior.
Yeah.
She's like the church lady from Saturday Night Live.
But then, so then she kind of gets into this whole thing, and she says people don't understand about this lifestyle. She assumes that they have, that she, these other sister wives, have low self-esteem because they're letting their husband, quote unquote, cheat on them. But really, this whole, religion, this whole thing is a girl party. It's all about the women and about the girls. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, really? Financially?
Hell no.
Is it all about the girls financially when, we just, a big quote in People magazine about Gwen saying, my mother's much, my mother and Janelle are better off financially now that they've left Kody.
Yeah, and Cody's worse off.
Yeah.
They have to move.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. That's insane.
Robyn is delusional.
Yes.
She's straight up delusional. And, it makes me sick. Yeah, that Janelle and Meri and Christine, they supported these two dum-dums all these years. Yes. And now they're gone. They don't have their money. And God knows Kody won't work, except for going, selling guns.
Shows.
And Robyn has never worked.
Yeah.
And I have some gossip about that at the end.
Okay. Well, this is it, people. 5 a.m. day of colonoscopy. And you know what, Kody asks the most annoying question known to man. Are you hungry? It's like,
fuck you. I haven't eaten solid food in 24 hours. You can just fuck right off.
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, I'm hungry. Of course I am.
I hate it when people ask those stupid questions. Like, you're sick, you have a cold or something, like, oh, do you not feel good? It's like, yes, of course I don't feel good. I hate people like that.
And then the weirdest part about this is that, they let Kody come in.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Yeah, well, they let him come in at first when they were just taking her vitals or getting her ready, whatever. Then he goes back out. Well, then they wheel her into the procedure room and they say, well, we'll let you know when you can come in. Okay, so the first thing I notice in the procedure room is not a single person's wearing a mask, not even the doctors.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
And I just thought that was very weird because even before COVID, I mean...
Yeah, that was standard.
The doctor wear... I mean, I know they're not cutting you open or anything, but your body is... It's being opened. It's like...
No, masks have been a standard in operating rooms for many decades now. Yeah.
Not a single person's wearing a mask. And this is also cannot be sanitary. They let Kody come in while the colonoscopy is being performed.
Yes. Why? Why did he need to be there?
Why did they let him?
Yeah.
That doctor, I mean, what is
happening?
What did they pay him for all this? He's breaching medical ethics here left and right. I thought it was bizarre.
That was bizarre. Maybe they just have different laws in Utah.
I don't know. That didn't seem sanitary. So
yeah, I didn't notice any of that. I did think it was very weird that Kody was coming in and at least he didn't have to scrub in, he didn't have to put stuff on, he didn't have to stand behind a window.
He just came in.
The other thing is, why does he need to be there? Can't you just walk out at the end and say, hey, we removed 2 polyps?
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I removed 2 polyps. We're going to do this, this, and this.
Exactly. I don't know.
Anyway, but they did. They saw 2 small polyps, so it's a good thing, Meri, you went.
Yeah. Good job, Meri. You survived.
They will remove them. So now we're back to Robyn's house. And then again, Robyn says something super annoying, which is cooking is a very social event for women. Oh, fuck you. And if you have everybody in the kitchen, it can be a lot of fun. And then Christine's making ambrosia salad, but Robyn thinks it's gross. I love ambrosia salad.
I do too.
It's so good and delicious.
Our grandma used to make that.
It is so good. I don't, I mean, it's of course not healthy for you.
No, but it's marshmallows and Cool Whip and
like
fruit,
canned fruit, pineapple. I mean, anyway. And then what Robyn says is she's like, when Kody isn't around, things are better because they can all focus on each other. The women can all focus on each other, as opposed to when Kody is around, and I think the thing is, this is my belief, is that Robyn is able to, she thinks
be affectionate with him.
Yeah. But I also think a lot of this is Robyn stuff, right? I think this is Robyn is able to focus on Kody. And I think a lot of this is all in her head. I think that things are tense when he's around because they have to, I mean, she's basically telling us, right? They all have to be more careful with their affections and their feelings. It's a challenge not to be jealous. They have to be, and she's saying she has to be all more secure within herself. But I just feel like all of this stuff that she's saying, it's all in her own head. Like this is all, she's made up so much of this stuff of like, I feel like she's spending overtime thinking all of these things through that the other 3 maybe aren't thinking through. I think that they've maybe worked a lot of this stuff out for themselves over the years that maybe she hasn't worked out. And so she's sort of working it out for herself. And I do think that I obviously think, because she makes this comment about how she thinks they're all having lots of fun when they're in the big house and she's not there. And I can understand she probably feels a little left out at times. And Christine says, we're not. We're all doing our own thing.
Right.
We're living our lives. But I don't know what this delusional thing is that Robyn thinks is happening for everybody. I don't know. I just think that she has for 7 years thought and dreamed of polygamy.
Oh, she wants to be the polygamy queen. Like she's so in love with polygamy. Yeah. And she has constructed in her mind the perfect polygamist family and the perfect relationship and because everything her constant blathering, in these confessionals and stuff. Yeah, it's just basically like rules. She's got all these rules about polygamy, and she's talking about, well, in a polygamist family, you do this. In a polygamous family, the wives do that. I mean, she has so many things, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's really exhausting. And I think the other three have just tuned her out. You know, I think they just have learned to tune her out. And it was funny because when she's talking about how fun it is, and they were talking about how much fun they had at the grocery store, Janelle is
Janelle's out.
But Janelle was not in on this fun. Janelle was at work.
Yeah.
Okay. It's supporting all these people. And then in the confessional, she's just sort of looking at them like, oh, well, I'm glad I wasn't there.
Yeah. Janelle's like, oh God, I'm staying late at work. How late are you guys? When's the grocery store? Okay.
Oh, well, I won't make it. Sorry.
Yeah. But just, I don't know. I think she probably has a lot of anxiety, and all of these rules really help her manage her anxiety.
Yeah.
So now it's time for the big party. There's a lot of discussions around where the tables are going, and they're like physically getting on the floor. And it's just like, when you finally see the party, there are not a lot of people there. I'm sorry. Or they didn't shoot all the people.
It was
people
like
didn't want to be on.
Yeah, they each brought like one friend, basically.
Well, but I think maybe all of the kids were somewhere else. There was a kids table because it was mainly the adults, and the whole thing. It was just like, God, there were more discussions about where the table should go and how it should be than really there were people there to worry about.
Yeah. And, you know, Kody he's such an unhelpful and just a complainy, whiny, bitchy person. He's outside, you know, all the wives are all trying to get everything set up, and he's outside complaining that he has to shovel snow off of the walkway so his guests can get in, not fall.
Oh, that's right, because they're doing it at Robyn's house.
And so he's shoveling snow, and he's like, I thought the boys were going to do this. Where are they? It's like, you know, Kody, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Nobody else is here.
Phone. You have a telephone and a voice.
Also, this is your party too.
Yeah.
You can contribute something to the party by shoveling the snow, because guess what? You haven't contributed a goddamn thing otherwise. Yeah. The women have done all the shopping and the cooking and the decorating and the preparing. I mean, he's just, ugh.
Well, yeah. And Christine walks by and says, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. It's just a little bit of like, then Kody, you have a phone. We see it in your stupid pocket
the little
thing,
dad pocket phone thing.
Yeah, which is just the dumbest looking thing. I'm sorry, but that is like, you see a man with that.
So
that is
1990s.
Like, I'm sorry, but that is unfuckable. I'm sorry. No woman in the world has seen a man with what do you call those things?
I don't know. It's like a belt, it's like a phone case you hook on your belt.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of it is.
You see a man with a phone case hooked on his belt, and you think, oh God, no. So no woman is attracted to that.
No.
So anyway, but yeah, you could whip that out and call someone.
Or just do it yourself. It's almost finished.
Yeah, it didn't seem that bad.
It wasn't that much.
We don't live in the snow, so I don't know how complicated that is, but it didn't look that bad.
I think he could have just kept his mouth shut. He just
likes to hear himself talk from two women that have a podcast.
Well, at least we're not like yelling at people, telling them what to do.
Yeah, you could just turn this off.
Right, exactly. Unlike Kody, you can just turn us off. These poor women, they can't. They have to listen.
Have.
Well, they have. They just
season 17 was Christine slowly turning the volume down. Like,
we're just deleting this podcast. It's out of our lives.
Yes. So finally, we have the big party, and they didn't really show anything. All we see is like Janelle's coworker talking about like, telling a story about like when the show premiered, and everyone was like, oh, did you hear? And I think Janelle's coworker's got some secrets of his own. But and then we see Robyn's childhood friend say, oh, we learned at the end of 7th grade. And I'm like, so this isn't really someone who recently found out. So this isn't. Yeah. This is someone who's been supporting you for a long time. Like, so you really haven't invited anyone new.
That was all she could find. Yeah. She doesn't work, so she has no work friends.
Yeah. And I mean, she's such a big polygamist, so.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then again, 6 a.m., we're back at the middle of the morning again. These two are back
Or the middle of the night. Yeah. We don't know.
The colonoscopy report, now we're going there. And now it's, she doesn't have cancer. It's all been removed. But if they hadn't been removed, she would have had cancer.
Oh, boy.
Yay.
What a journey.
It was a journey. It really was a journey. All right. So now, just to get everyone up to speed, of what's happened. So the holidays have happened. They picked a tree. They've told the teenagers, right? Mm-hmm. Have they told the middle? No. At the end of this, they're saying we're going to have to tell the little kids. So after this, they then have that famous scene where they tell like poor Peyton, where his face
Gabe
falls.
and Garrison and Peyton.
Okay, so they don't know.
No.
Okay, so only the teens
only
know.
The 5 oldest know
at this point. Okay,
yeah.
So we're at episode 9, No Place for Home, and it starts with some really sad music.
Well, I love this. The whole thing is so just the Browns. We're moving to Las Vegas in 1.5 weeks. So the semester ends in Utah in 10 days, and then a week later it begins in Las Vegas. So with a week and a half,
those poor kids.
I don't know how they pulled this off because, okay, they have to leave in a week and a half. Kody, Meri, and Robyn go to Las Vegas to find a place to live. Mm-hmm. And again, delusional. What you think you're going to show up in Vegas and you're going to find what? First, Kody thinks he's going to find some, McMansion, that's big enough to hold everybody. But of course,
and they have no money. I mean, we'll get into that, but they have zero money.
So they're going there to what? They're going to have to buy a couple of houses or rent a couple of. I mean, you are not going to find. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you think you're going to find, but anyway. They go there.
Well, did you hear? I mean, Christine, the very first line was Christine's, which is, I don't think we should go. I don't think we should do this. And she says, it will tear our family apart.
Well,
and Kody says, I'm the leader. No one wants to do it, but someone needs to make a decision.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, I think, last week when you did all your research of were they really in danger, which is they were in danger of losing the show.
Exactly. That was the true danger. Thing they were in danger of.
They could have stayed in Utah and probably been okay. And probably maybe he was a little anxious at times. I mean, I think that, listen, I'm not Kody and I don't know what it's like to maybe potentially be investigated, to potentially go to prison or jail. But I think that truly, if they had talked to an attorney, they probably got some advice from an attorney at this point. I think probably an attorney said to him, most likely nothing's going to happen. Don't worry. But I think, it was the show.
But you have to quit the show because you can't have a show about something that's against the law. Mm-hmm. That's forcing the police to do something.
So, but what I wonder is if they told the teenagers the truth, or if they told the teenagers, no, we have to leave because we're running,
Oh, I'm sure they made it sound like
they were in danger.
Because the teenagers, when they would be on the couch, they would say stuff like, we want to be able to stay together as a family and we don't want our dad to go to jail. Yeah. So this is what they've been told. We have to leave. Otherwise, our family's going to get split up and your dad's going to go to jail.
Yeah. No, I just wonder if they've been fed those, are they really? I don't know. Maybe they're not that good of actors. So anyway.
Yeah.
So they're off to Vegas but the kids have put signs on the door that say, be positive all over. So the kids are, they're stepping up. Now I'm wondering if I'm Garrison, am I going to wonder why are these be positive things everywhere? I'm, I don't know. I'm Gabe. I'm a smart person.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But and then Logan says, of course, Logan, the most mature, man of the house. He says, talking about polygamy, he says it's a lifestyle, not a crime. And that, but they have to be strong about this because he said the little kids are looking up to us.
Daddy Logan. Rising to the occasion, being the strongest member of this family, as always.
As always.
Good for you, Daddy Logan. But in the meantime, Janelle, Robyn, and Christine, they are throwing Meri a surprise birthday party. And their friends, Corey and Jen, who are friends of Meri's, are throwing a 70s theme. Okay, so they're going to help them because is it Corey who has a catering business that I did not write the name down?
I don't even remember that.
Oh, she's got a catering business. They're going to have chicken piccata. That's all I wrote down. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And it's a 70s theme. So then we see Kody, Robyn, and Meri. Robyn's very busy in this episode. Kody, Robyn, and Meri driving to Vegas. And this is where they're talking about how they want to have one big house where this is their fantasy. One big house. Each wife has a wing. And so they call a realtor.
And their own kitchen.
And they call a realtor and they tell her what they needed. And you know what? Guess what, Brooke?
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, people. It does not exist.
No, not in Nevada anywhere.
Not in Nevada, not anywhere. Anywhere. They are surprised.
Mona Reikki should have known right then that these people were going to be a problem. This woman has worked her ass off for these people.
I really want to know. I would love to meet Mona Reikki and just find out from her, has this helped your business? Like, because if Mona Reikki through all of this has helped, like if her business, like this helped me tremendously, my business grew, it got my name on the map, I'm thrilled for her. But if she comes back and says, you know what, these people were pains in the ass, it was terrible, and it really did nothing for my business, I'm going to be very upset because she worked very hard. These people were, you know, as we go along and continue to recap, these people were pains in the asses, especially Meri.
Especially starting now. The demands that they have, they're unrealistic demands. So
we meet Robyn's dad, her stepdad.
Yeah,
and they're checking out the area.
They're just kind of walking around these random neighborhoods.
So, and this is not Vegas, because they're like, oh, the Strip's way out there. This is outside of Vegas. I don't know Vegas well, except for the Strip.
I only know the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know how far away actual people live from the Strip, or if that's considered Las Vegas proper. I mean, I think it's pretty big and sprawling. So, you know, because there's not houses near the Strip. So they always called it Vegas. I mean, I think it is, but you know, they say Mona is out looking for 4 individual homes for them.
They're boots on the ground looking. She's in her office.
Right. She's in her office. But they are just randomly walking around these and they're like, oh, look at this. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have, because they find 2 homes for sale in this cul-de-sac, and they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool
with a pool?
That's another thing. Kody said, as a consolation to the kids for ruining their lives, he would really like them to have a pool.
Yes.
So they find these 2 homes for sale in a cul-de-sac, and are these the ones that they put some kind of an offer on?
No, those were different ones.
Oh, okay.
This is what gets them started. See, this is what gets them started on the site. We're seeing a germ of an idea in their mind.
Cul-de-sac idea.
The cul-de-sac idea of like, oh, these are 2 houses next door to each other. They have a pool. And then it's this then this comes around like, oh, 4 houses in a cul-de-sac. Yeah. What an idea. And I wrote down, what a dream. What an idea. But does it feel like a family? Could we do that? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then they're back in Utah and we're at the party store looking for 70 themes items.
Less overpriced.
Crapola.
Crap.
And then Christine says she doesn't feel right about leaving. She doesn't feel right about leaving the community. And Kody says we have to keep the family together. And then we're back in Vegas and Robyn's talking about the cul-de-sac.
This was my favorite part. After they finish shopping for all this stuff at the costume shop, Janelle is up at the cash register.
Yes, I wrote
paying
this down.
for it. And it's $195.57. And she says, for costumes? Wow. You know, she does not want this party. They cannot afford $200 on costumes.
I was just thinking, the whole time I'm thinking, this is all this crap that you're gonna like throw in a closet and it's just gonna haunt you until you throw it away eventually. Yeah. But the other thing I was thinking was there is no way Janelle approved this. She basically she was like, TLC, you're gonna reimburse me for this, and that's what she was just like, TLC is gonna give me this money back, so there you go. Janelle did not pay for that.
I hope not.
No, there's no way Janelle would have okayed that.
It just makes me
That's
so
why they
mad.
were able to go crazy.
I guess.
I bet you anything, TLC, you have a $200 budget.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back in Las Vegas.
So, they're back there. We go back they're back talking about like, we need to find a place. We need like 15, 16 bedrooms. They're back to this. They're back to this idea. And they just can't get through their heads that anybody that wants a $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, even if you're Ben Affleck and J-Lo, they only have 2 kids each, 2 to 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want a sprawling, they don't need 15, 16 bedrooms. Nobody needs this many bedrooms.
No house has this many bedrooms.
So but then they find out that Mona says she has a financing lender guy. She has a developer, who has 4 houses together and would work on a lease option. A lease option. But she said financing would be difficult. And so I think this is really where all of this starts, this idea, 4 homes together, cul-de-sac. And so then Kody and Robyn and Meri, they go check out the homes. And of course, then they go scale the walls to look around. And
they're trespassing all over people's property.
And I don't want to, I'm going to sound really snobby and mean, but those homes look sad.
They were so ugly, and especially inside.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
They didn't look good.
No, and the inside, and then they went inside one of them. I don't know how. I guess Mona let them in. Maybe these were one of the 4 homes. And Robyn's taking videos because she says, I have to do this for Christine because she's visual. But anyway, it's those type of homes where there's kind of like they have this huge open high ceiling and there's like no real walls or separation except for the actual bedrooms, but everything else is just like a
very open. Like loft style. Like they're trying to emulate that New York feeling of a loft style. But those are really designed for single people.
Yeah.
Those lofts that you see, those are really designed for people who live alone.
Right. And don't have kids running around making noise. Yeah. And they're just like, everything is just white and blank and
everything
angular.
There's those stucco with those weird circle tiles. I don't know what you call them.
Like the terracotta tiles.
The terracotta tiles with the adobe. But even when they were standing along that ledge, which seemed super dangerous to me, it's like the backyards. I thought they were going to walk out to these beautiful backyards.
No, there's just like dirt.
It's just dirt and like this small kind of like cookie cutter, rectangle shape.
Yeah.
And then there are all these rectangle shapes. It's like little boxes, little houses, like little. I was like, oh, this is, and just these little, and they're so excited about all this. And I'm just like, really?
Because they've been living in poverty. Like this is the nicest thing. Yeah. It's the nicest house they've ever been in. Period.
Yes. Okay. There was one other thing that happens, but I do want to go, hold on. Because they're cutting from this back and forth to the party planning. So I love this. Gabe, how old is Gabe at this point? He's like 10. 10. So Christine sets up the disco ball and Gabe's like, no. You're only moving it so that it's shining over
half of the room.
Gabe brilliantly moves the light and the disco ball lights up. And Christine's like, oh my God. 10-11, never forget people. Gabe rescues the party.
We love Gabe.
Yes. So anyway, we go back to the house. Robyn's taking a video tour of the houses. Kody walks into a bedroom and he says, Angel sang to him. And he knew right in this moment, he said, this was mine and Christine's master. Not the proper grammar, by the way.
No.
This would have driven our parents crazy if we said mine and Christine's master. He's like, the angel sang, and I knew this was mine and Christine's master. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, God.
Delusional.
They were like, this is beautiful and new, and this great. And then Christine gets all excited. She sees the videos. I'm like, Christine, you think this is great? You flipped over this quickly? Okay. And then they're going to make an offer. And Robyn says they don't have a lot of money, but they have a lot of faith.
Well, guess what, Robyn?
It
takes money. It takes money to buy a house.
Okay, so this is what I wanted you to explain to me, because I think I understand it, but I couldn't explain it to anyone. They said they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to be financed traditionally on these homes. So what does it mean to be financed untraditionally?
So that's like if you buy a home from someone and let's say, they're going to sell it to you for $200,000 and you don't have to, they can just decide, they could have you put no money down, some money down. It's up to them. They already own the house free and clear. They have no mortgage. And so they can sell it to you for whatever they want and whatever terms you want. And so people who can't get a loan from a bank because of their credit score, they don't have 20% down, all that kind of stuff, have to do this owner financing. So that's
what they're doing.
Yeah. So traditional financing is, you go through a bank, you have to put down 20%. You have to, their interest rates, you have to have good credit, all that kind of stuff. So a seller, they can take someone who doesn't have that kind of credit or that kind of money, and they can say, okay, well, here, I'll sell it to you for this amount. We'll amortize it. They decide what interest rate, because they're basically the bank. They're loaning you the money, and you just pay it back, and it's secured by a deed of trust, which means that if you don't make the payments, they foreclose and they take the house back. So that's what they couldn't even get that, which understandably, I mean, 4 houses, like each one of those houses, I mean, I know it's like Las Vegas, but let's just say they're each like 300,000.
Okay.
I don't know.
So this is
250.
So this was actually, this is technically the new year.
2011.
2011. So, and this is where, we're in the, third year of the financial crash, right? From 2008. Oh, yeah,
because Las Vegas was hit, and it was hit super hard.
Because a lot of these developers, Vegas was one of the places that people were flocking to because it had so much land. It was cheap. It was a place that people wanted to go and move to. So this developer was probably desperate to offload a lot of these places.
Exactly. So yeah, let's just say hypothetically. Let's say hypothetically, if they had 4 houses, let's say they're $250 each. That's $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, these people they don't have jobs. That, you know what I'm saying?
Well, Janelle has a job,
right? But she's leaving that job to move to Las Vegas.
That is true.
Meri has no job. Well, Robyn has no job.
But
we
Kody
don't
has
know.
to leave his job too.
We don't even know what Kody's job was. I bet you he quit it the minute that they got the show.
Do you think that his father could co-sign? Could his father co-sign because he has that ranch?
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Is that ranch worth anything?
Yeah, I don't think that a seller of those houses really care that what they're going to go foreclose on a ranch in Wyoming. It's too complicated. Okay, because that's what their remedy would be. They'd have to go after that person's assets. That's too difficult. So I don't. Again, I'm surprised Mona even made the offer. She's probably thinking to herself, this is stupid. They're not going to get it, but she has to play the game and go through with it. I don't blame the person for not wanting to sell. That's a huge risk. But they thought that they could do it. And and the homes that they ended up building, in their cul-de-sac, I think they were around, like, their mortgages, they were around $420,000 each.
That they ended up built.
That they built. Yeah. Their homes. So they were those were custom built homes. And but by then the show had been on and they could show some income. Because at this point the show's only it had been on one season
and it was 7 episodes or something. I mean, and they had nothing. So
it's a week before they're supposed to be moving there, and they don't have anything.
So then finally, Robyn texts that's 15 minutes out. This is the scene, there's this this is the episode where this has a very famous scene where they show Robyn. So all of the kids are getting ready. All the kids are wearing all their 70s gear and everyone's like hiding and shh, and they're turning, making lights look like, it's just a normal night. And then we see the scene where Meri's out front. She's walking up. And Robyn's behind, and Robyn's kids,
right? I noticed
with
that
the other kids, and which is weird. But this is a famous scene because a dog comes walking up, and Robyn. People will grab this all the time and put it on Facebook because it looks like Robyn's kicking the dog. I'm like, Robyn's a dog kicking dogs.
She's an animal hater.
And listen, I am an animal lover. I have 2 dogs, Rocco and Biscuit, that I love. No, oh my God, I said Rocco, my first pug, Biscuit and Chaba. I'll put some pictures on our thing because I'm just dying to put some pictures of my dogs.
Lots of pug pictures.
Lots of pug pictures. But honestly, I think she was just blocking the dog from not coming up to Brianna. Because honestly, Brianna cries about everything.
Right.
Okay?
She doesn't want the dog jumping on Brianna.
But that's the very famous scene from that. Anyway, she's coming there and she walks in. But I thought that was so weird. Why not let your kids be there? Because all the kids are having so much fun dressing up the kids.
She did the same thing when they went on their honeymoon. She had her kids stay with her mother.
Yes.
I bet you anything the kids were staying with her mother.
But this is
she doesn't even trust. She doesn't trust them. You know, she wants to be this close sister wives.
Yes.
This woman has never trusted the other wives to take care of her kids. Ever. And remember when Christine I don't know what season it is, but it's a later season.
What does the nanny do, right?
Well, there's that, but even before that, like there's a season somewhere in the middle of the series where Christine confronts Robyn about this. And she told her, she said, you know, it really hurt my feelings when you got a nanny because, you know, I could have taken care of your kids, but you don't trust me to take care of your kids. And Robyn just looked shocked. She's like, oh my God, seriously? Are you going to do this? And she's like, yeah. So, yes, she has always remember her niece lived with them. She has always had a nanny or someone else. She doesn't even trust these women to care for her children. And she said that this was the reason she wanted sister wives.
So that's the part I don't understand. So why are you here? Why are you here? Like then, so you want to cook with these women. This is good, but you don't want them to care for your children, but you want to be together with them. So what do you want?
I don't know what she wants. She wants to pick and choose.
I guess
you know, which things she likes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
And then, and so Meri's very surprised. They're shocked that they were able to surprise Meri. It's great. They all have to wear their disco clothes. Isn't that great? They're having a wonderful time. And of course, they didn't get the houses. Shocking. And that was the end of the episode. All right. So Brooke's got a little bit of gossip.
Oh, but you forgot to say...
What did I forget to say?
Kody cries.
Oh, that's right. Kody cries because he's persecuted. Because he's Jesus.
Because, you know, I don't know.
What did he say again? There was something
about how he was talking about how Christine's grandfather, that story always really got to him because his wives all had to move to different states and they never got back together. And anyway, and then they say, now we have to tell the little kids.
Yes.
So I guess
this is what we have to do
next week. Okay, so let's see. I have a few things I wrote down. So, you know, I keep seeing all of these, you know, headlines, but no details about how Kody and Robyn are moving back to Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
But so far, it's just a bunch of speculation. There's, although they were spotted in Las Vegas twice.
They've been spotted in Vegas a lot.
Yeah.
People keep spotting them there.
Yeah. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know. And then Gwen's YouTube, she was watching the season 17 tell-all thing, and when Kody made that comment about how nothing scares him except poverty, she stopped and she had like a longer comment on that, and she said, I don't understand why you would fear something that you've already been through. She says, I lived in poverty the first 8 years of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she says, that he basically grew up in poverty. And they all lived in poverty till they got that show.
Yeah.
And she said it hurt her feelings that his biggest fear is not, something like losing one of his kids or not being able to see them or be with them, but poverty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's the money. He just does everything for the money. And then there's this woman on TikTok. Her handle is History in 60, and she has really good Sister Wives content. But she was talking about, I thought that was interesting, about Robyn coming into the family, and she has this, I guess this is her theory, is that, Christine was asking Kody for help, when she was, before Truly was born. Remember, she was working at night or, working part-time, and she needed help. She wanted him to come and help get the kids put in bed. And when he said no, and so Aspen had to do it. So, Christine was asking him for help, but Kody doesn't want to help raise kids. He just wants to have them.
Yeah.
And so, when she asked for help, she meant that she wanted Kody to help, but he just got a new wife instead.
Yeah.
And she said that Robyn was brought in as a replacement for Christine. To be supposedly to be the caregiver, I guess, to help with Christine's kids. And that, that's why she never worked. Like, Kody didn't want her to work. He wanted her to help out with the kids, which she never really did. Mm-hmm. So that backfired. But I think it was because he ended up really falling in love with her. And she said that, you remember, Robyn did that thing where she took a picture of Kody and Christine and their kids. And then she took Christine out of it and put her kids into it.
Yes.
And had that weird picture commissioned.
Yeah.
And she was also talking about how she thinks that Robyn's first house in St. George was paid for by TLC because she said that house was too clean for 3 kids to be living there for many years.
Yeah, no, it looked like a cookie cutter kind of, you know what I mean? It looked like a rented studio.
I think she was living in a trailer before that.
Because she was, listen, I don't think she went to college. I think she was a single woman with 3 kids, and I don't think she had any money.
No.
I think she was struggling for every dollar.
Yeah. So they probably moved her into that house. And she said that, the reason why they didn't move her straight to Lehigh really was because Kody liked having his private time with her.
Yeah, sure he did.
She said that there was no way he was staying in a hotel because they were broke. They couldn't even afford groceries. And in fact, there was one time Christine made the comment that Kody didn't even have gas money to go see Robyn. Mm-hmm. And Christine's like, well, then you shouldn't go. But of course, somehow he found the gas money.
Yeah.
Probably from TLC.
Well, then where did Kody stay?
With Robyn.
Where?
In her bedroom, I guess. They wait for the kids to go to bed and then they just
Okay, but then we just watched that honeymoon special. They were very clear with us that...
Do you believe that?
I don't know. I don't know what to believe. They're all over the place with this shit. I don't
believe that they didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it.
Okay.
There's no way he was going to see her for 6 months. Mm-hmm. There's no way.
Okay.
Anyway. So she was saying she thinks, and we talked about this too, that TLC had to have paid for her move and that house that she moved into
and the honeymoon and all this
Lehigh.
Other stuff.
Yeah. These people are just broke. And when they Robyn was just, it was crazy. They had no money and they brought in more people to support. And, Janelle was really clear when they moved to Vegas. There's a scene when they first moved to Vegas and they have to move into that rental house. Janelle is pissed.
Oh, God, yeah.
Janelle was livid. Depressed and livid.
Oh, this is all coming up. This is coming up next week. Yeah.
And she was crying, saying, I don't know how we're going to do this. She's literally worried about buying food for everybody.
Yes.
And so Kody, funny how Robyn never managed to get a job. And then she got pregnant. Literally, they must have banged in that rental house.
Yeah.
She was pregnant the first week.
Yep.
The timeline here is they moved to Las Vegas in January of 2011. Solomon was born in October.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
God. But, and here's another thing. She had a lot of good money scoops. She said Kody will always make it seem like he bought something when TLC really bought it. And she said for Tony and McKelty's wedding, that TLC paid for half and Tony paid for the other half from his savings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it looked like Kody paid for half.
Yeah, they made it look like, and they also edited it to make it look like Tony didn't have any money because this was a joke. He was making a joke. I don't know if you remember this, but Kody was telling him you need to put the wedding off because Maddie was getting married right before that.
See, I don't think I've gotten to a lot of this. So I I was doing a rewatch, and then when we started to do this, I stopped doing my own independent rewatch.
Oh, okay.
So here, podcast listeners, we're going to get to a point where it's all going to be happening to me for the first time.
And that'll be good.
And that'll be life-changing for all of us involved.
Well, hopefully this isn't too much of a spoiler, but basically
nothing's a spoiler. So go ahead.
So Maddie was engaged and she had set her wedding date, and then McKelty gets engaged.
Yes.
And McKelty wanted to have her wedding a few months later. And Kody was telling her that she needed to put it off because he needed more time to be able to pay for it, which turned out to be a lie. And so they did this couch interview with Tony and McKelty, and he said this jokingly, but they made it look like he was serious. And he said, well, there's lots of ways you can pay for a wedding. He's like, you should just get a second mortgage on your house or a home equity mortgage on your house or something like that. And it made it look like he seems kind of ungrateful and whatever. But actually, he was referring to something that Meri had actually asked her parents to do that because she wanted to have like a bigger, more lavish wedding. So there's this family story that's been told to Tony that, when Kody and Meri got married, she wanted to have like a bigger
which
wedding.
I can totally believe.
Can't you believe that? Both
Meri
of them,
did.
they probably both wanted to have a nicer wedding. And so she probably said to her parents, well, why don't you just take out a home equity mortgage? But yeah, Kody has not paid a dime for any of these weddings. So yeah.
Wow.
It's
I'm very curious about who Kody was before all of this, because what's so fascinating about this show and how it all started and where they are now is that Kody, Kody has had to keep so many lies going for so long, because what happened was that he had this religion that he firmly, his whole world was surrounded by. He gets this show that supports this religion that he is so fundamentally, believes in. Then, part of the show, who knows if Robyn, who knows if TLC came first or Robyn came first, or if it all came together and it made that. But he meets this woman who he falls in love with that fundamentally goes against what the show is and what he has to preach. So the entire time he has to pretend that what is happening for him going on isn't really real.
Yeah.
And the one person that is so pro-polygamist is the one that you've fallen so in love with. So she's kind of like, that's the part about Robyn I don't quite understand, is that, are you so pro-polygamist and you want this, but are you, how do you see Kody? Do you love Kody, love, but you only love him in this polygamous way? Or do you want a monogamous marriage, but you just want all of us to see you're just this wonderful polygamist?
Right.
And that this weird thing, and that someone who has lived in poverty your whole life and money's always been an issue, here you now have all this money, and you've had to make all these decisions that now go against your, what you really want to keep the money going, but the money is really also what you want. Do you know what I mean? It's so layered.
It is. It really is. And then throw in there that Robyn really, she says she likes Sister Wives, but she really doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's
because her actions don't meet her words.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, with both of them, and it's quite a facade.
Yeah. So it is, and it's this thing of like, well, yeah. So if you actually authentically be yourself, you lose the thing that keeps everything going, and the money that you desperately want or need. And you also have to backtrack on this religion that you've been shoving down our throats, you know, this entire time. And you have to admit that maybe you might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, and that's why the unraveling of this family is so fascinating, is because for 10 years, 12 years, whatever it was, they shoved it down our fucking throats about how wonderful this all is.
Yeah.
how great their family was and how great polygamy was. And now we're just all like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And just all of these things coming out, and the fact that they're, excuse me, the fact that their children are now adults and can speak for themselves and say, well, come on, no, that was really this, or this was really this. And just seeing, you know, the fact that they you know, can you imagine finishing out a semester in one state and then having to go to another state and then finishing and starting a new school?
They did this to their children twice.
Yeah. I mean, it's unreal.
They uprooted he chose money over his children in a major way twice and disrupted their lives. Money is more important to him than anything.
Yeah. And they have. And many, many times they have gone, even Janelle and Christine, whom I love both of them, but they've gone on and done this whole defending Kody and all the children and all of this stuff. And they show us like, hey, we provide for our children. It's like, well, no, if your children today are saying they're living in poverty, you are not providing for them.
Yeah, no, they're complicit in this lie too. The basics of having a child, providing for them is, yes, you maybe don't have to pay for a college education. No, you don't have to get them a car. Maybe they don't have to have the best shoes or any of that kind of stuff. But you have to provide, you know, food, medical care, dentist, education. Yeah, they were homeschooling them or sending them to those polygamy schools.
But you're right. Medical care is a huge one.
Yeah. And medical, you know what? Care. Guess what? If you're that much in poverty, there are programs where you can get your kids in America, believe it or not, actually no child should go without health insurance because there are programs to cover all children. And I don't know if it's a thing with Kody. He's too proud, but I did hear that Christine, at one point was receiving welfare benefits, which makes me think that's why I think the birth certificate thing is true, that he's not on the birth certificates. And I think Gwen had tried to say that they were all on that Kody was on all of their birth certificates, but how does she know?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't believe that at all.
I think that's some lie that someone told.
They told them that, and she's choosing to believe it, and she's not going to go down and look it up, look up the records or whatever. But yeah, there's no reason why any child should not have health insurance. You can get it for free in this country.
Yeah. And so the thing is that they keep pointing to themselves of showing like, look, see, we're this traditional we're this family, and our kids are not in these long dresses and the weird hairstyles.
We're just like you.
We're just like you. And Kody is providing for us. But it's like, well, no, because you're telling us that your kids aren't, having pizza because it's so expensive. And the only way you're having pizza is because you're on this TV show. Right. So it's no. You're not providing for your kids. I think that if, maybe, I don't know, those dogger people, I mean, I think he maybe is, if he wants to come and argue his case, I'll hear him out maybe. I still don't think it's not a great religion for women. It really isn't.
It's very oppressive.
It's very, very oppressive. And I just don't think it's.
Let's just look at the Brown children. None of them liked it. I'm sure that they love their siblings. They're glad that they have them and whatever. But I don't think their childhoods look like much of a cakewalk.
Yeah. I think it's a lot. Anyway. All right. Well, let's wrap this sucker up. Oof.
It's a lot.
All right. Well, we are covering Love is Blind episodes, whatever came out on Friday.
9, 10, and 11.
Where are my notes?
9, 10, and 11.
9, 7, 11. You just said it. God, my notes are all screwed up now. 9, 10, and 11 on Thursday. If you like this podcast, please give us a 5-star review and write a few kind words. We really do appreciate it, and it helps us out. And if you enjoy us, please subscribe. We love the downloads, and we appreciate it. And we are on social media. And we are going to, get on there. I'm going to put some pictures of my dogs, whether you like them or not. We got to get some thousands of them. It's the only pictures I take.
Some pictures of us,
maybe. We're going to put some pictures of us, maybe some memes, who knows what we're going to do. But we're on social media. We're on Instagram at CycleEcoPop and TikTok at CycleEcoPop, and anything else we need to tell them besides those things.
Not that I can think of.
All right. And then we'll be back next Tuesday with just continuing on to we'll be seeing the
breaking the news.
Yes, breaking the
news. Lots of tears.
Yes. All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong. Newsflash,
I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me the sunshine, give me a dew. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing mountain dew. So give me my good friends, give me a dew.
Grab some friends and an ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.